The purpose of this video is to go over some of the basic concepts involved with creating a graph or a plot of your data using Excel. A future video will go into more detail regarding formatting. There are a lot of formatting options and how you label things. I'll mention a few of them, but really the main purpose of this is just basically taking a set of numbers and then using those to create some sort of a graph. So I'm going to start assuming that I have these numbers here. So I have 3 columns of numbers, and I have these headings: number, value 1, and value 2. And what I want to do is I want to create a chart. So there are a number of ways to go about this. So let's say that I want to plot these columns B and C. So I'm just going to right now select these 2 columns. I can use the mouse, or I can use the keyboard and hold the Shift key down, and I'm going to select these 2 columns of numbers. So the B column will be the x-axis, the horizontal axis, and the C column will be the y-axis or the vertical axis. So if I go up here to Insert at the top, I click on Insert, and in this large section in the middle, it's titled Charts, and there are a couple options. So something you probably don't want to do, and if I'm showing this because if you inadvertently do this, you can see what happened. If you click on this first option here, it says Insert Line or Area Chart. So if I click on this thing, you'll see what looks like these nice graphs. So let's say I'm going to click on the first option here, this line chart. So if I click on this, what you'll notice is that I've actually produced 2 separate plots, 2 separate graphs. And the reason is because each one of these corresponds to a single column. So now the x-axis is basically just going to number the number of points. So this happens to go from 1 to 20. It's actually not looking at the first column of numbers in Excel here. It actually doesn't matter what numbers are there. And in fact, you can tell because it's highlighting the second and third columns. It's not looking at the first column. All it's doing is it's saying, I'm just going to put the numbers in order, and I'm going to plot them separately, these 2 columns. So this is not what I actually wanted. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on this and hit Delete. What I actually want to do is go up here back to Insert and go to Charts, and I want to look at this other option here, which is titled Insert Scatter or Bubble Chart. So if I click on this, you see these scatter options and then the bubble options below. The 2 that I would typically recommend, in fact the most common one, will just be the basic scatter, which is what we're going to use. You can also do scatter with a straight line. And what this does is this just connects each individual dot with a straight line. Those are the type that I typically would use. I don't like using the scatter with a smooth line because that suggests that there's some kind of a fit or an equation that's going through those, and we don't really know what that would be at the moment. I'm just going to use this base scatter. I'm going to click on it. And if you notice now, we just have one set of data. Our x-axis is plotted between 0 and 10, and that corresponds to the column B. And the y-axis is also plotted between 0 and 10, and that corresponds to column C. So we can do a number of things with this. Again, I'm going to talk about formatting later, but I'll just mention a couple quick things. This top plus sign here is Chart Elements. Also, if you look above here, we're in the Chart Design window, and on the Chart Design window there's also on the far left side Add Chart Elements. So that's basically going to be the same thing. Add Chart Elements will be the same thing as clicking on this plus button here. So if I click on it, now you see all these different options. So if you wanted to add axes titles, you can select that, for example. So we could go in here and I'm going to just label the x-axis. I'm highlighting it, and then I'm just typing in. I'm going to call that value 1, and I will label the y-axis value 2. And if I wanted to, I could go up here and put a title, my title. but I don't necessarily need that, especially in a report. I might not want that. So if I select it and hit delete, it actually takes the title away. I could also go to chart elements. Notice chart title is now unchecked. If you check it, it goes back. You uncheck it, it disappears. Let me delete this plot. So let's say I wanted to plot these columns together. Let's say I want to plot all of this data together. So one way to do it would be to select all three columns. And if I go back up to Insert and Chart, and I select the same thing, Scatter, now I have two different plots here. And we'll talk again about formatting later, but you see down below they're labeled Series 1 and Series 2. Another option here, let me delete this. Sometimes this happens. So let's say that I create one plot. So I go back up here, I create a plot, so I get my plot looking like that. If I go on this chart, for example, and if I were to right-click on the mouse button, actually I need to select the chart, right-click on the mouse, and I go to Select Data here, Select Data. That's a very important option, Select Data. It also shows up above there, here to the right, Select Data. So if I click on Select Data, this is going to show whatever is being plotted. So here we have Series 1. That's what's being plotted. So if I click on Edit, now I can see exactly what I'm plotting. So the X value, the horizontal value, is Sheet 1, A2 to A21. So that's referring to the row in the column. And the Y value is the B column. I could give this a name up here. So I could say, I'm going to call this value 1. And hit OK, and hit OK, and actually it's created that as the title. We'll come back to that in a second. Let's say that I do this again and I go back to Select Data. Now let's say I want to add some more data to this. I could click on the Add button. So I could go up here, I'm going to type value 2 as the series name. For the X values, I'm going to click on this little up arrow, and now I have to select the range. So I'm going to select this first column, the A column, because I'm going to use the same range that I had for the first set of data. So I'm going to then hit that little arrow. Then I'm going to go for the Y value. Now I'm going to click the arrow again. Now I'm going to select the third column. So it's C2 to C21. And I'm just using the mouse to select that. I hit the down arrow, and now it fills in that data. And I hit OK, and I can hit OK. And I think that if I go over here and select legend, it'll label with whatever I have typed in there. I could have also actually selected the cells where these names were located, and that would have worked as well.